glad to see I've got notes, so I'm not going to do what Katie Price did in Oxford yesterday. Has anyone read the newspapers this morning? Yeah, I'm not going to do that. You'll be glad to hear. My name is Jo Malone, and I am the founder of Jo Malone and the founder and creative director of Jo Loves. And when Sage asked me to come and speak, I love these kind of events. I love business, I love people, and I adore entrepreneurs. So this is definitely my kind of place to be. And Sage asked me to come and speak to people who had SMEs. Now, who's an SME in the audience? Hands up. Oh, and lots of them. Well, I'd only just heard that expression, SME, when I was invited by the government to go to a debriefing meeting just after our budget this year. And I was sitting in the Millbank along with a lot of other very influential businesses, and they kept talking about SMEs. And I said to my husband, "What's an SME?" And he went, "You are." And I sat there in this meeting, absolutely sweat pouring off of me, thinking, oh my God, if they ask me, I don't know what an SME is. And so a gentleman behind me leant over and said, "It's a small to medium enterprise, madam." And I said, "Well, thank you very much. Thank you." And that's what I am. That's what I started out being 25 years ago and selling my business, but it's what I am today. And I looked up what SME is. And it's an enterprise which qualifies as a micro to small and medium-sized enterprise. Turnover between 2 and 50 million and employing from 10 up to 250 people. That's what it qualifies as. And Jo Loves is definitely a micro business. I employ 7 people and I have 0 turnover as we speak at this moment, which is about to change, hopefully in the next few months. Otherwise, I'm going to be doing a lot more of these speaking engagements. I started my business in 1994, Jo Malone. I was a facialist, going from house to house, doing people's faces. And I have, and still have, a passion for fragrance. I think in fragrance, I see in fragrance, I feel in fragrance. And when these women would leave, I would make them a little tiny little bottle of bath oil that they would take with them to say thank you for coming. It was a real hand-to-mouth existence business. It was hard work. And I would earn some money and spend it, earn some money and spend it, and just one step at a time. And often in business, you have those moments that come along that you need to hold on to. And one of these moments for me was when one client one day said to me, "I want to buy some of this bath oil." And I said, "I'll make you some. How many bottles do you want?" And she said, "I want 100 bottles, and I want to put it at the place of every single person at a party I'm holding." Now, this party was amazing. It changed my destiny, and it changed the destiny of my business. There were kings and queens sitting at this dinner. There were film directors. There were beautiful models. And within 1 month, 86 out of 100 people wanted to buy the product. And as crazy as this sounds, there were private jets coming in to pick up 100 bottles here and 100 bottles there. And at that time, I was making it at my kitchen sink with a couple of plastic jugs that I still have today, I'm proud to say. Tiny little kitchen, probably a little bit bigger than this lectern, making them all by hand, labeling them all by hand, until the demand became so great that my husband said to me, "I can't do this anymore, Jo. It's everything in the house tastes of nutmeg and ginger bath oil, everything you cook in the kitchen. Everything we do is revolving round this business, and it's killing me." He was a surveyor at the time for Higgs & Hill, and we made the decision that night to take the step further and to find a shop and open our first shop. He left his job. We knew we could survive for 1 year on the money that we had, and I knew I could continue to be a facialist and continue to pay our rent. And it's like many businesses in this country at this moment. You face that moment where you have to take that plunge and you take that deep breath and you think, what if? Well, for me, it worked. We found a little store in Walton Street. which was an adventure in itself. Gary found 5 beautiful sites in London, all finished, all clean, and I chose the one that was still the building site that I wanted open in 6 weeks. And we did it. Because when you set your mind to something and you focus on it and you go for it, do you know what? Sometimes you don't achieve it quite in the way that you think, but you certainly get higher than if you didn't try at all. From the day we opened that store, we saw success on our hands. Bath oils just flew out one after the other. We then had 6 fragrances. In my first week of opening, I had a rather obnoxious, I have to say, American with a big fat cigar come and to the store and offered me £1 million to leave the business that day. He said the offer was open for 24 hours and was I interested? And I remember sitting there thinking, I come from nothing. £1 million is a lot of money. But inside of me, I'd given more than I thought was possible. And I wasn't prepared at that moment in time to sell for £1 million. And so I turned his offer down and thanked him very kindly. And I never saw the man again and have never seen the man again. But a few years later, I did sell. And some people have criticized me for that. I built a British brand, and I took that brand to the 4 corners of the earth. And I did it differently. And it changed the way cosmetic floors see fragrances. It changed the way people wore fragrances. It changed the way people gave them as a gift. I reached a point, I think, in my life where I felt I had given it everything I could. And I remember getting up one day and just thinking, what's the next fragrance? And something within me just knew that it was time to stop. Because I never, ever wanted to be just one of those people that reeled out the next product and the next product. I knew I'd sold it to a company that would continue to grow and the people's jobs would be safe in that company. I sold it to the Estee Lauder Corporation, and I sold it in 1999. I stayed for a while, but this constant nagging thing in me was, what else could you do? Is there something else that you could, as an entrepreneur, try? Now, I've never written a CV in my life, and I've never had to give anyone a CV, but if I sent you my CV today, on paper, you wouldn't even give me a second look. On paper, I'm not meant to be where I am. I left school at 14 years old. I have no qualifications. I have no GCSEs, no CSEs, nothing. I have this passion and this drive to work, and I think differently. And I asked my husband this morning, what do you think the secret of our success is? And he looked at me dead in the eye and he said, your lack of education. And I kind of thought, I don't know, is that an insult or a compliment? And he said to me, because the way you think and you didn't have the sort of foundations that everyone else had, you are able to find shortcuts to things that take most people much longer. You think differently. And your lack of education and your drive and determination married together is the secret of your success. And that was I kind of still thinking that over a little bit. Jo Malone, the brand, changed my life. It opened up a world to me and a vision that made me see that anything was possible. And in those 10 years of building Jo Malone, I travelled to every country. We opened markets that were closed. Charlotte and I, where's Charlotte? Just there. Charlotte came to me as a young intern doing a project at school, and 10, 12 years on, we have stayed together through thick and thin. We've gone to the 4 corners of the world, had to open up markets, go and talk to journalists, create markets that didn't exist. No one knew who Jo Malone was. We had to create the hunger. It's been an unbelievable journey. The day I decided to leave was a very painful day for me. It was an end of an era, and I closed the door, and I never thought I would create fragrance again. I spent the next few years helping charities, helping cancer hospitals, helping foundations to raise money, of which I have to say I'm very good at. But it was that nagging doubt within me again and again and again, day in, day out, week in, week out, could I do it again? Could I do it again? I went to the BBC with an idea for a TV show. I saw where our country was going. I feel utterly devastated where our country is going today. Small, medium enterprises are part of the answer. And we need to encourage those small to medium enterprises. And I remember sitting before a commissioner at the BBC, and she said to me, "Jo Malone, you should go into politics. I don't know about TV." But she bought and they commissioned my first TV show, which was High Street Dreams, which was my belief that you could take small to medium enterprises selling from market stalls, tabletops, and get them to the deal of a lifetime and take them to the big guys and get us to marry together. We nurtured 8 people, and out of those 8 people, 6 of them got the deal that they wanted. Are their businesses today in the state that they wanted them to? I don't know, because I don't run them, they do. But that show taught me I did have something more to give. And there was one family, did anyone watch the show, High Street Dreams? Please, someone put their hand up. One, thank you. Do you remember Mr. Singh and his chili sauce? Yeah. This was this wonderful, hard-working Indian family, and they had bought a recipe for chili sauce over from India. And they made it in their garden shed at the bottom of their garden. And part of my job was to go and see how they made it and how we could help them make it on a bigger scale. So there I was in the garden shed with a hairnet and Wellington boots and a pinny, stirring these big vats of chili sauce. My eyes were streaming because the chilies were very strong. And it was that eureka moment where I thought, I want to do this again. I want this bit. I want this bit where we're stirring the sauce and everything goes wrong and the formulae separates and we don't get deliveries on time and all the glass bottles are cracked. I want that experience again. And I walked away and I looked at Charlotte and I said, we're going to build another cosmetic brand. Poor Charlotte, she doesn't know where she's coming or going with me half the time. There we were making a TV show, and the next thing she thought, okay, you want to build a cosmetic brand? We'll build a cosmetic brand. And we started from that day to build, find a name. And for me, it's very difficult because people recognize me so much with the brand that I sold and the cream and black. Where was I going to go from there? Well, 2011 is the launch of Jo Loves. And is it easier this time? I have never in my life been so scared. I feel like there is a sea coming towards me and I'm standing there on the beach and I can't swim. But I'm too deep in it now to get out. I've designed the product, I've created the packaging, we've registered the name around the world, and now all of our distribution is now starting to come together. And it is an unbelievably exciting time. Everything I learned 25, 30 years ago is kind of being adapted. But of course, I had a real healthy helping of naivety 25 years ago, of which I don't now. And it is a different world out there. It's nothing like it was before. You know, when we were 25 years ago and we were launching a fragrance, you'd send a press release out. Well, you don't do that anymore. You push a button. You use one of these things. All of those kind of different elements. And, you know, it's not my greatest gift, I have to say, all those kind of things. I'm used to the old way, so I'm having to learn very new and very different ways. And our markets, we're now looking at China and India, whereas 25 years ago, that was not an option. It was America that you focused on. But now you look at the growth of what is happening in China and India, especially in the luxury goods market, and if you don't take notice of it, you're going to be left behind. So Jo Loves launching is, I funded it all myself, so I can feel every single penny going in and out. And it's that moment, and right at this minute in time, we have not sold one bottle. It's about to any minute, but not one bottle. We made the decision to do a very, very, very limited amount of product. And once that product has been sold, goes on sale from the 8th of November, we close the doors on the shops. We close the doors, hopefully, and say sold out. Now, everyone is saying to me, you're crazy doing it this way. Why would you do that? Why would you build a market and get them all excited and then close the doors? Why would you do that? Because you know what? We have to create that hunger that I created 25 years ago. And I had to think of a way that is different and is new and is unique. And I believe this is risky. I believe it could backfire. But I also believe that it could change the way business is done. We released the fragrances the other night to an industry dinner, 100 people in the room. And we watched our Twitter and social media accounts go berserk right the way. Everyone, and it went to the four corners of the earth. It was incredible, and we were sitting there watching, very rudely I have to say, at dinner as well, but our host, thank goodness, understood. And we watched the message go from America to South Africa, to Germany, to Japan, to China, to India, and it just started. Now, these people haven't even smelt the fragrance. They've just heard the stories, and they're listening to the word of mouth that other people are giving it. And we're seeing a whole new world unravel for us. And I am beyond excited. I've not slept for 3 nights. Our boxes arrived in the last few days, our bags, our packaging. I think you are going to love it. It's all red. Oh, it was red up there. Full of passion, full of life. Now, how different is that from Jo Malone, building 2 brands with 5 years apart? And the only way I can describe it is Jo Malone was who I was. Jo Loves is who I am now. And I think any of us in the audience, if you took us back 25 years to the job that you had 25 years ago to who you are now, you'd see the difference. You feel a different person, don't you? Do you? No? Am I the only one? Okay. Jo Loves is very much about how we are going to take, and we are going to change the way people see fragrance again. We are going to involve other senses. We're going to take it on the most amazing journey and see where we can go with it. I was speaking just recently and at an event for women in business, which again is one of the things I feel passionately about, women in business. And somebody said to me, what are the things that have made you successful then and make you successful now? And I don't think success has a formula. I think it has to do with a lot of hard work and determination and guts. But I do think there are similar things that I kind of hold on to, which is sort of like my business genes, if you like, things that I know are part of my character. I believe to make Jo Loves work, I have to feel passionately about my product. I have to believe that my product is the only one that has the elements, the fragrance, the packaging, the feel, the wantability about it. And if I don't feel passionately about my product, no one else is going to. I sit with retailers who have the choice of anything in the world that they want. Why should they give me space? Why should they listen to me and how differently I want to do it? They do it because they can see something within me. They can feel that passion, that integrity about who I am and what I believe in. I want to create a hunger, as I mentioned before. I believe that demand must always outweigh supply. Always just keep it a little bit behind. Keep people hungry, not too hungry that they get bored, but hungry enough that they'll come back time and time and time again. I'm prepared to do it differently. And in doing it differently, I put myself in a very vulnerable position. I'm very aware of that. I can feel that every single day. But if I do it differently, and I look at things with different eyes and a different perspective, I could change the world. And to be honest, that is what I want to do again. But in doing it differently, sometimes you have to admit you do things wrong. And I'm going to share a story with you. I'm not sure how you're all going to take this, but anyway, I'll jump in. The morning we pushed the button to Jo Loves, we pushed the button on 500,000 people seeing the visual of Jo Loves and hearing a little bit of VT. But we pushed the button one morning on literally social media, Twitter, Facebooks, and a whole lot of lists. We'd worked very hard for 8 months, checking Joe Loves, making the video, making sure everything fitted together. And 6 o'clock in the morning, my husband came up with a cup of tea. My husband's my business partner, by the way. And he said, I think you ought to be aware of something. And I said, what? I was all excited to push the button at 8 o'clock and all the way around the world. And we had a piece in the Telegraph going out. And he said, we didn't do our work properly. There's someone who is #1 of the Google list, Joe Loves. I said, well, are they in fragrance? And he said, no. Well, are they in cosmetics? No. They sold sexual vibrators. I was devastated. I felt stupid. I felt the world was going to laugh at me. I hadn't done my work properly. And we were all, at that time, around the kitchen table in my house, and you can imagine the whole team when I walked in. It was too late. It was too late to go back. We had all the articles being printed. We had to step forward and we had to go for it. And we pushed the button. And we looked stupid for a bit, if I'm honest. And what were we going to do? Were we going to buy this man out? Were we going to pay money so that he went away? And of course, every time I got to the top of the Google list, he'd do something and get himself. And so for a good month, it was a bit of a battle every single day with he and I. And thank God I won. I now am at the top of the Google list with Joe Loves, and I have no idea where he went. But it was a lesson, and it was a lesson that could have destroyed us or built us, and we learned from it. And my goodness now, when we push the button to anything, we make sure that we have covered every single inch, that there's not that same mistake again. Next time, it could end up costing us dearly, and it's not a position I ever want to be in again. I believe you have to stamp your identity on your brand. You had to put part of your heart and soul into that brand, whether it be a service, a product, in the luxury industry, whatever it is. People want to feel that your brand they can trust. And if they can trust you, they can trust your brand, they can trust your service. That we want loyalty, not just in consumers, not just with consumers, but also with our suppliers. We need relationships back. I believe we need business to come back with a handshake. We need integrity. We need heartbeat in brands. We need to feel that if it is your product, you are behind it, and you have the strength. I believe we need to create environments that people thrive in. That we're a small brand, we're 7 people, we're like a little family. But we feel each other's strengths and weaknesses. You know, I don't have a marketing team and a PR team. Our marketing team is Lucy and me. My PR team is Charlotte and me. Our sales team is Louise and me. And Gary, my husband, runs all the rest, everything else that kind of makes the business work. We're a small team, but we feel, when you're a small team, you feel the pressures of a small business and the success of a small business. And you need to step in and help each other. We need environments where people thrive and people feel safe in again. It's not a safe world out there at the minute. No one feels that they're part of anything. Give your teams and your staff a voice. Make them feel valued. Make them feel safe. And you know what? Your sick days go right down. And when we all need to be standing there at 10, 11 o'clock at night because we have an order to get out, everyone is there. I believe environments, as we build businesses of the future, we really, really need to start looking at environments. Also, when you're a young business and you have those moments, like the bath oil moment I told you about, 100, seize the moment, take it. And when you seize a moment sometimes, has anyone ever jumped on a train that's going or a bus that's, you know, running along and you jump on it? Your feet leave the ground for a second. And in business, we need those moments where your feet leave the ground. Because when you do that and you hold on, you catch your breath. But that it's a moment, a seize the moment that could change your business and make it a brand of the future. Some great entrepreneurs that I have read their stories, and some of them I've met, and Some of them I haven't. But they're people that changed our world in which we live. Coco Chanel changed the way women dressed. She changed the way it was okay to have a suntan. But she did that because she seized the moment. She took hold of it, she made her brand be recognized, and she created a voice for it. A great friend of mine who passed away last year, Joseph Atedwi, one of the greatest fashion retailers our country knew, he changed the way fashion was sold in stores. He created a lifestyle. He was, I believe, a genius. Howard Schultz changed the way we had a cup of coffee. He seized that moment and he created something that we look differently at. And Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs changed our world forever. These people had the courage and the strength, and I believe building brands today and building businesses, you need a great deal of courage and strength and luck. But Einstein said the definition of insanity, doing the same thing time and time and time again and expecting a different result. Well, this country is doing it the same time and time and time again and expecting us to get out of this terrible time. It's not going to happen. We have to think differently. We have to think differently, we have to do it differently, and we have to create places that cause others to start to believe that. And I believe as SMEs, we have that ability to do that. So when I was sitting in that debriefing meeting and I was trying to think of what an SME could be, and I looked around the room and there was very, very, very successful companies and me. An SME to me is a seriously motivated entrepreneur. Somebody that is prepared to pick up that stick and that baton and start to run. So if you are an SME, great. Let's build, let's create, and let's create great businesses for the future of this country. We're now going to take some questions. So I have to put those on. Okay. Kelly Molson. Where's Kelly? Okay. Will there be another series of High Street Dreams? It wasn't recommissioned. We had Wormwood Scrubs on the other side on ITV, and it got 3.5 million viewers more than we did. So I don't think so. I don't know is the answer to that. You never know. But it was a show wherever I go, taxi drivers, people in the street, they all say, can we have another High Street Dreams? So let's hope so. What do you think? Okay, next one. Dale Atkins. Why did you choose the name Joe Loves? I chose it because, going back to what I first said, this brand will be about everything I love. Joe Malone was very much about creating for my marketplace. This very selfishly, and I think I can do that at the age of 47 years old. Joe Loves is about the things I've created for myself that I truly, truly love. And so that's what do you think of the logo? Do you think it looks anything like Joe Malone? No, that's good. Adam Irwin. How did you create your brand's tone? We're still learning about what the brand is, evolving as we speak. And when we were creating the packaging, I looked at lots and lots and lots of different colours and what they meant and how I felt about them. And we went through a whole lot of packaging and nearly pushed the button, and something, that gut instinct in me just said, no, it's not ready, it's not right. And I had a dream one night, and everything in this dream was red. And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. And the minute we went to the printers and started to look at red papers and red kind of textures, it's a very textured paper, it just felt absolutely right. And often when you get your product and your packaging right, everything else then feels like it slots into place. And Joe Loves has definitely got now a heartbeat all of its own. I want to hear from you. Have we got any microphones around? Let's have a few microphones. Does anybody want to ask a question? Here we go.
Hi. I just wanted to ask about the lady from the programme High Street Dreams, the one that did the scarves and did she get into jigs? She got into jigsaw, didn't she?
Yeah.
How's that progressing?
Beryl did incredibly well, got into jigsaw. Belle gave her a great opportunity, and she set up all these classes, knitting classes, in her community, not just with nanas, but also with younger people as well. And she continues. I think the price point was quite high in jigsaw, so she needed to bring her price point down. But she continues to thrive and do very, very well.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Just here.
Yeah, it was just a quick question about how Estee Lauder have reacted to you setting up your own brand when you've put obviously so much of yourself into the Jo Malone brand.
They wish me well, as I wish. Good. I think, you know, it's a big marketplace out there, and they know how much I love fragrance. And I'm proud to see where Jo Malone is. I know Jo Malone is in safe hands. But, you know, in theory, we will be competing with each other, but no different than any other brand.
Hi, Jo. I just wanted to ask, how did you know when it was the right time to sell your brand? And surely that must have been a very difficult moment for you.
I think I've often thought about this, and when is there ever a right time to sell your brand or your business, or is there a right time to sell your brand and your business? It was, at that moment in time, we were expanding very, very, very quickly, and it was very hard. You know, you put all your money into your product and your packaging, and then it feels like your backside's hanging out because you haven't got enough for legals. And so it felt very much, and I do not regret that decision for a second, but there is a moment where you have to say to yourself, could I get more? Or would the markets drop and I get less? And so you have to be happy with yourself with that decision that you made. And when I had made the decision to sell and to leave, I had fought cancer for a year, and it did change my perspective on life for a bit. So I think that was probably a huge part of my decision. Should we have another iPad one? Or okay. Lucy Mount, what is your favourite Jo Malone fragrance? I think I'll always love Lime, Basil and Mandarin, because it was known as the pension fund. And Amber and Lavender, which I created for my husband. And then from the 4 that we're just about to launch, Pomelo will definitely be. It's what I'm wearing now. It kind of, the smell of it gives me a little bit of security. So Pomelo would definitely be my favourite. Any others from the floor? Just wait till the microphone comes to you. Which one first? Oh, you're all being polite, yeah.
I just wanted to ask, obviously you had a fantastic opportunity.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Sorry. When you had the dinner party opportunity where it kind of all started to take off, did you kind of have a plan B? You know, like what was your plan before that happened to sort of grow the brand?
I never have a plan B. I just always run and make plan A work in some way. No, because I didn't know where it was. I wasn't aware of what was happening, but this opportunity came along, and I just ran with it. So there was never a plan B. And I suppose if that moment hadn't happened and it hadn't been so successful, I might very well have just carried on doing my facials and making product from home, out of my kitchen. So, but with often businesses come to that point. And I've met so many people in my life that say, oh, you're so lucky, you're so lucky. You make your own luck. And if if an opportunity comes by, as I said, grab it. And if it doesn't work out, you'll figure it out, and you might learn something kind of in the process. I think mistakes and failures are a really important part of success. We just recently filmed something for our new website, and we looked at the footage, and it had cost a lot of money. It cost several thousand, well, £10,000. And we looked at all of it and we knew it was wrong. And so we all looked at each other thinking, $10 a ounce, you know, we've got to try and use some of it. And we just had to bite the bullet and say, no, we've made a mistake here. And Charlotte was saying to me, oh, I'm sorry, Joe, I'm sorry, because this was my decision. But what in fact it did, that £10,000 actually has made our decisions for filming so much easier now, because we know what we don't want. So sometimes mistakes end up costing you less in the long run if you bite the bullet and you take it on the chin. And I certainly know what we don't want now versus what we do want.
Know where will we be able to purchase? Will it be usual retail outlets, or is it something?
We announced the other evening our retail partner will be Selfridges as from the 8th of November, and we are building a Joe Loves store in Selfridges, and we have a flagship store, which I'm not going to tell you quite where it is yet, but it will be, we will do a pop-up for 1 month only in London, and then that's it until next year when we will open the flagship store.
Joe.
Oh, Charlotte.
Can Windy Nice spritz and share pomelo? Oh. Because I think everyone's probably
that's up to you. Would you like to smell the pomelo? We've only got a few papers. We did this the other evening, and it all went berserk. There's 4 fragrances, but this is the one that I'm wearing that I feel it was not creating fragrance for a while. When I first came back to it, I couldn't do it. It didn't come back naturally to me, and I really thought the gift had gone. And in the heat of the summer, this was a pomelo, so it's a very clean, crisp citrus note with a lovely sort of woody background. Let's just take another one while you're smelling that, and you can tell me what you think. GB, who's GB? Great Britain. GB asks, do you think you have a correct balance between business and your home life? No, is the answer to that. I try really hard that when I'm at work, that's what I'm thinking about when I'm at home. So I don't take any calls after pick up from school. I'm always at the school gate to pick up. But I think if you run any business, there's no such thing as a perfect mum and a perfect family and a perfect life. It just doesn't exist. I just try and do my best. And it's a struggle sometimes. And kids, you know, my son's had me round him for the last 4 years continually, and suddenly there I am back to work. But to be honest, he's 10 years old, and he comes in and helps. So he has his desk in our office as well, where he comes and does his homework. And he enjoys, I took the bag home for the first time last night, the Joe Loves bag, and he was so sweet, and he came up and he said, oh, Mum, that's gorgeous. So, you know what, we need to start teaching our kids the joys of business. And where he goes to school, I went in and did a project with the kids last year, which we did, well, on High Street Dreams, we had the toy man called David Strang, and we made, he makes yo-yos, he's the yo-yo man. And we went into school, and they designed and created and manufactured and priced and sold yo-yos based on the 4 Ps, product, place, price, PR. And those young children raised £2,500 for charity based on it. And what we did is we instilled something within our children that said, business is good, this is how you do it. And I know that there were several, all the difficult children in that school were the ones with the entrepreneurial spirit. That was, I recognise that. Oh, one last question, sorry.
Hello, Joe, hi, sorry.
Where's
Hello, hello.
Oh, sorry.
Hello. I just want to say you are amazing, inspirational. I think you're fantastic. Will you please come and sort my business out? I can't do it anymore.
What's your business?
Beauty salons.
Beauty salons?
Yes.
How many?
I need you. I've got 2.
2?
Yeah.
In Manchester?
Yeah. In Cheshire, yeah.
In Cheshire.
Yeah. I need your help. I can't read any more of your articles, any more of you, but I've got to take this opportunity. I'm seizing the opportunity.
Thank you. Have your feet left the ground?
But thank you.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me bang on. Please, please come and support Joe Loves and come see us. And I wish you luck with all of your businesses. And I have to say, we've used Sage. I don't know whether any of you have read the profile on Sage, the company, and what they're all about. but how they started with 4 men in a pub with a NASA scientist and an Alan Sugar Amstrad, and look what they've done. Thank you.